Every entrepreneur dreams of breaking through the noise, of building something that doesn't just survive, but stands out in crowded, competitive markets. Yet, so many find themselves stuck, pouring money into funnels, ads, tactics that never seem to move the needle. Maybe you have been there too, working harder, spending more, but still feeling invisible. Welcome back, listeners, to another brilliant episode on the BizBlend podcast with your host, Sana. And today we are digging into why this happens. And more importantly, what can actually change the game. And my guest, he has spent over a decade helping leaders and entrepreneurs not just market, but message in a way that makes them the obvious choice, even against the bigger, better funded competitors. So, we'll be exploring why so many marketing tactics fail and the strategic messaging shift that could transform your business. So, listeners, this is not just about sales, it's about survival, clarity, and creating a voice that cuts through. So, let's dive in. And listeners, meet my incredible guest, Ryan Clark. So, Ryan, welcome to the show, and it's such an honor to have you here with us.
Hey, thanks. It's great to be here with you too. I know it's late over there, so I appreciate you having me on here.
Thank you, Ryan. So let's begin with our discussion. Let's talk about the funnel first. I would call it fallacy in there. Now, many entrepreneurs they believe that if they just copy Western style funnel and tactics, that's it. It's game on. They'll succeed. And you have called this actually, sorry for that. You have called this actually funnel first fallacy. So I really like that name. But why do you think this mindset is so damaging for entrepreneurs in emerging markets?
Mm. Yeah, well, because it wastes a lot of time and it wastes a lot of money and probably just leaves you really disappointed and wondering, wow, I just spent a bunch of all of my effort on marketing again and it didn't work again. And I just hired that other marketing person who said that they were going to do things differently and we still got the same results. We tried a different funnel and it still didn't work. I tried to have better copy and my funnel still didn't work. I didn't make any money. So what the funnel first fallacy is, it's the idea that when you're trying to create a marketing funnel, you start with the tactical pieces. Like you say, hey, I'm going to run ads and ooh, I want to do a webinar funnel because I see Tony Robbins doing it like that. And all right, I'm going to have a landing page and I'm going to do some research about my market and create a landing page and I'm going to put these pieces together. And yeah, this should work, right? But what happens, we call it the funnel first fallacy, because what most marketers or anybody doing marketing miss is they don't actually think about their sales messaging first, which is really what you shouldn't be thinking about. Not just the funnel, but you need to think about your sales messaging, because unless you have a unique and compelling messaging, a funnel narrative, and a real story that shows how you're unique and different, then no matter what funnel you have, no matter what copy you write, none of that is actually going to work well.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. That's logical. And do you think so? Is it because that because something which has worked for a specific market may not work for a different one, an emerging market, and they have to actually modify their sales messaging accordingly. Like the basics are itself not set right. So, is that the reason in there, Ryan?
Um, yeah, so you mean like sometimes you have to adjust your messaging, so that's not always the most important thing? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, I think it's natural for a business, someone growing to adjust their messaging and experiment with different markets. But really, the problem is that people they use really generic kind of language, and they say that they're targeting a market, like they're targeting leaders, or they're targeting people that need to get a job, or they're targeting people that want to be more productive. But that's not a niche enough kind of target or a kind of market. So, like for one, you have to be more niched and targeted because when you're talking to people that don't know anything about you, there's so much competition that you have to use language that is really specific for a certain market. So even if you're going to change your messaging, it's 100% worth it to think about having a niche market and thinking about the language that's going to appeal to that market and then still build the funnel. So yeah,
Mm.
regardless of if things are going to change, you still always want to start there.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And also, Ryan, can you share an example of a client? I mean, it can be an anonymous one, but a client who learned this the hard way. Like, what shifted once they fixed their messaging first?
Mhm. Yeah, so we have a client we're working with now who she's focused on helping ambitious women to get to the next level in their career and their lives. So there's really something that's been holding them back, and they've had lots of success their whole lives, but really there's still something missing, and they're not really going after what they really want in life. And sometimes they don't even know what that is. So before we started working with her, her messaging was really broad, and she had a webinar funnel set up, and she'd been doing marketing really for years. I'm running ads on LinkedIn because that's where a lot of her market hangs out.
Mhm.
But she was getting women onto these workshops, but really not a lot of them were buying at all. She actually, I think she said she had one sale in about 3 years. So, and one of the big reasons was she was speaking to ambitious women and saying, hey, if you've had all of the things, then this might be for you. This might fill the gap. But she wasn't really getting specific enough into her unique audience. Well, it's two things. She wasn't getting talking enough to the story of her unique audience, like not just ambitious women in general, but actually who is on her email list, who's in her social media audience. And then for two, she wasn't speaking to women that are in the right part of the customer journey. So the first aspect, sure, you talk to ambitious women, but what we did is we surveyed her audience. And one thing that we found that was really interesting was that a lot of women felt like they needed to get one more credential. They needed to take one more course. They needed to do one more thing before they could feel like they really had enough confidence to do the things that they wanted to do. So we started, one of our first workshops we did was called Confidence Without Credentials. And that's ended up getting a lot of women signed up, and we had a lot of conversions. So getting more like really into the story of what are they actually saying in your audience? What are the things they're really concerned about? And you can know by actually surveying is one thing. And the second thing is we always want to speak to solution aware prospects. So this means that we want to get prospects that are not just interested
Mhm.
in what you're doing, but they have intent to buy. So the way that we do that is we use language that says, hey, if you've tried lots of other things to move forward in your life, if you've tried working on your executive presence, and you've tried getting another credential, and you've tried playing the politics game in your organization, and you're still not really getting the success that you want, well, let me tell you why what we're doing is different and better than all those things that you've tried. So because these kinds of people in this position where they've already tried things, and we acknowledge that, those are the ones that are like, yeah, I want to try the next thing. Like, what is going to work for me? I'm ready. As opposed to, oh yeah, I'm an ambitious woman. I'd like to do a little better. So this person here is saying that they can help me be more confident. Like, sounds good. I'll check it out. So again, it's kind of about being more specific and thinking about where are, hitting people that are in the right stage of the buying journey.
Hmm. That's quite an effective example in there. Um, and I also think that, it really flips the script because most people they think they just need to do more when in reality they need to say less but say it right. So it's like minimalistically right. So yeah, that's a good one. That's a good example in there, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And very interesting, the next one. You call it as you have created market messiah positioning. I really love the terms in there. I'm really loving all of them, but let's try to understand this. Where so this is exactly where your brand becomes the only logical choice. Now, Ryan, but to some that could sound a little bold. Um, or maybe even arrogant. How do you build this positioning without coming across, as overhyped or too much fluffy or inauthentic?
Mhm. Yeah. Great question. Because yeah, being a category of one, it has nothing to do with being overhyped or being the loudest or making the biggest claims, because that's what most marketers are doing. Like more and more, the marketing claims just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And that used to work somewhat, but this day and age, it's just not working anymore. You can't get by alone on. I've worked with Fortune 500 companies. I've helped people make this many millions of dollars. It's just the market is numb to that kind of language. So what really makes you the category of one is having the right narrative, having the right funnel narrative, and actually turning your messaging and turning your prospect, them getting to know you, them buying from you, turning that into more of a story and turning that into a journey. So there's four key elements that we use to do that with clients as far as your sales messaging goes. So the first is what I kind of just said, was speaking to solution aware kinds of prospects. So we want to talk to people that have intent to want to take action and buy something, because it's easiest to sell to people that are closest to that are closest to want to really buy something, right? Um, and then the next element that we want to explain to them is the real root cause reason why they're experiencing the problems and the symptoms to the problem that they're having right now. So most marketing is out there saying, hey, if you've got this problem, I've got the solution. Like, look at me. They're kind of like beating their chest out there saying, hey, I've got the right thing, buy from me. But what we want to do is not sell the solution to the problem, but we want to sell the solution to the root cause of the problem. So we're saying, so an example is like, um, if you're somebody who gets like pushed around a lot, say people kind of walk all over you, you don't have a lot of confidence. So those are symptoms of something, of symptoms of not, getting to being the kind of empowered person you want to be. And then the next level of awareness of that is the pattern. So what is the pattern to that? So if you're getting pushed around like that, you're probably a people pleaser. Then you can think, oh yeah, I'm a people pleaser because I get pushed around and I'm trying to appeal to everyone. Well, and that's where most marketing stops. But the real root cause reason why that those things happen and why you're a people pleaser is, or can be, the mother-father wound. Is that when you were a kid, your parents either said things to you or put you in situations or didn't give you the love you needed, and that's why those things are all happening. So as for that, for an example, again, most marketing isn't going to get down to the deep level of this root cause. So when somebody comes to us, they see an ad, and then we're going to get them onto a workshop, and we're going to say, hey, we're going to help you understand the real reason why you're not having success. And then somebody's going to look at that person, you as the marketer, and think, wow, that totally makes sense. This person, they really get it. I haven't really heard that before, and it sounds like they get it, what I'm going through, even better than I do. So then what happens is you've eliminated 99%, or you've eliminated 90% of the competition, essentially, because you're getting down to the root cause. And then that leaves, okay, well, what do we do now? How do I solve this problem? And this is where we introduce the big idea, which is your unique approach to solving that root cause problem. So you have a unique approach to that. And once you've introduced that big idea, now we've eliminated 99% of competition, because one, we're getting down to the root cause level that no one else is getting down to. And that means we have one of the few actual solutions, one of the few people in the market that has the solution to that. And since we have a unique solution, that makes us stand out, a unique approach. And then the third element that makes you the category of one is your unique mechanism, or it's your unique methodology. So then this comes down to really helping people understand how you get them results. So you should have a methodology or have a framework where you're helping them understand how are you actually getting them from this, I'm getting pushed around, I'm a people pleaser, to being absolutely confident and getting a promotion and speaking your mind and just loving yourself in your life. We're not just going to make that promise, but we want to describe our process. What are the 3 to 4 pillars that happen along the way? And they're not individual pillars. It's the first thing that we do is we're going to address that root cause wound. The second thing that we're going to do is then we're going to work on the mindset. And then life is going to start looking, feeling, and sounding like this. Then we're going to create the plan of action. And then once we have the plan, life's going to start looking, feeling, and sounding like this. And then we do the next thing. So then that's what makes you this category of one, because now you have a unique methodology and somebody understands exactly how you're going to get them results. So that's it. You can see how it's really this journey. It's not about being the loudest, not about making the boldest claims, but it's about helping a prospect understand that you know what they're going through and that you have the solution and that you do it differently and better than everyone else.
Mm, yeah, yeah, that definitely makes sense in there, and I also agree, right? I mean, in this day and age, I think that type of marketing language, I don't think it's any more relevant in there. But still, um, you know, this kind of a trend, or when we talk about marketing, like any kind of publicity is a good publicity, and sometimes this kind of a deliberate or intentional attempt to make a bold claim, like something like a clickbait, um or
Mm.
in social media, like rage bait, just to grab
Oh,
eyeballs.
yeah.
So what do you have to say about that?
Mm. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's great for attention, right? It's definitely, um, you know, I am a big believer though in being polarizing, for sure. I think you have to be polarizing, but to me, being polarizing, it's not rage bait, it's not clickbait, it's not being deceptive and lying, it's not being hateful, it's not saying that one side is right and one side is wrong. I think the best way to get people to really know you and be attracted to you, because attraction is about polarization. You do want to repel people, not repel them in a negative way, but you want to people are going to love you because of your opinions and because of your beliefs and because of the way that you see the world, the way that you think about things. And just in doing that, naturally, you're going to have people that don't agree. And it doesn't mean you do it in a hateful, negative way. But yes, I totally believe that you need to be polarizing, but that just comes from saying what you think about certain things. What do you think about the state of marketing? What do you think about rage bait and clickbait? What do you think about big claims? If I was to want to attract an audience, if I want to be this market messiah, I need to be saying how I feel about things and what my worldviews are but you could not be respectful. But for me, that's being somebody that's worth following, is respectful and conscious of others and loving and is just really trying to make the world a better place. And that doesn't mean that everybody's right, though. Doesn't mean you don't fight for what you believe in. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think that's really a really good answer in there, man. Really good answer in there. Oh, okay. Now, once again, a brilliant name in there. Strategic messaging architecture. You have developed this, and it helps businesses move from commodity pricing to premium positioning. Um, okay, in just 90 days. How does it work, Ryan? Isn't it a bold claim?
Um, not really,
Okay.
because it's it's a lot of those elements that I said,
Okay.
but it's a few extra we'll go through. So 'cause the thing is, you could have marketing, you could have a funnel, and it's working pretty well. Generally, a lot of times the clients we work with, they have funnels that are working, they're working fine. They're making money. But things that happen, they say, okay, if we want to make more, we need to increase our ad spend. But that's not the case. See, in all these cases, you could have better strategic messaging architecture, and then you could increase your numbers across the board. You could have ads, you could have lower cost per lead, more effective ads. You could have more conversions from your webinar, more people buying your actual program. And then on the back end, when you're running promotions, you'd also have people that are more often buying from you every month when you release different types of programs. So it's really like, this. Um, Sure, not everyone is going to get breakthrough, crazy results when they change their messaging, but for most businesses that don't have this an architecture in place, it can make so much of a difference. So these six elements, it's this the root cause, the big idea, the unique mechanism, and your buyer angles. So those are the four things we've already talked about. And
Mm.
then a fifth thing is your positioning. And the sixth thing are your content pillars. So whenever we work with a client, we think about these six things and we give them what's called their messaging Bible, which is basically all of the messaging that we need to then create whatever marketing we need to, the ads and landing pages and all that stuff. So the positioning is really important too, because this is how are you different, better, and faster or faster than other offers on the market. So that's another way that we can be a kind of category of one, is thinking about those three things. Generally, it's one of those things. You're helping people get results faster. Your process just straight up works better, or maybe it's easier to go through your process than those other people. Um,
Mm.
and then and then your content pillars. Every piece of content you put out should be either helping somebody to understand and get to know you more, or understand and get to know your offer better. Everything that you put out is an opportunity and should be something that somebody reads it, they're like, oh, they like you more, they learn more about the way you think, about how you help, what your backstory is, all of those things. And you're always promoting your offer. What is it, how is it that you're helping people? How does that work? Um, and that's just kept moving the needle for every time you post a piece of content. So yeah, that architecture, all of these things working together makes a huge compounding difference. And, like we talked about in the beginning, it's that story, that going from the solution aware person to understanding the root cause and the big idea and all those things. You can either have disjointed marketing or you can have a story where everything compounds on top of each other. And yeah, after an implementation of 90 days, you're running a couple workshops with your strategic messaging architecture. I mean, we've had clients 3, 4x their return on ad spend just by doing that alone.
Yeah. And I think I really like that, how you uh, have broken it down, because I think that's what I think. Like, entrepreneurs believe premium pricing is reserved for, like big names, when in reality, it's about framing the value differently. So it's once again, if we go back to the journey, the customer journey, or the client journey in there, and the story that you are presenting in there. Um, and before we conclude, Ryan, it's kind of a interesting insight in there, statistics in there, that you say that most entrepreneurs waste 80% of their marketing budget because they're missing foundational messaging. And that's staggering. And that's kind of a tough pill to swallow, to be honest. So, what's the simple diagnostic tool you use to help them see this truth? Because it can be initially very hard to accept. So, yeah, how do you do that?
hmm Um, yeah, yeah. Got to be honest. I can't say for sure if it's 80. 80%. 80% is kind of a number that's just being that's kind of just being put there. Of course, it's more or less for lots of people, but um, I mean, I guess one way. Yeah, there's lots of pieces, I guess. I mean, one thing, one example here of how clients or how entrepreneurs could be throwing away 80% of potential profits. I mean, one you just mentioned is this idea of premium pricing, and that maybe you need to have a premium brand or a big, whatever, to be charging lots of money. And that's definitely not true, because people are really buying the solution and they're buying you if they can trust you. So, I when I first started my coaching business, I remember after a few months, I just built up this really great relationship with the client, and I hardly had any experience doing anything. I was doing more kind of confidence and self-love types of personal development coaching. And, made a $4,000 sale with his client, and we're still friends to this day. And so it's really just about providing a solution. But one thing that a lot of, say, entrepreneurs or coaches and consultants, especially they do, where they're missing out on a lot of money, we could say, is they try to go from a cold relationship to selling a $10,000 package. So they're trying to it's basically like, asking to get married on the first date. And it's kind of been standard. Most coaches and consultants I talk to, they're going very much so from zero to some multi-thousand-dollar package, and it doesn't work very well. So one thing that we do and that we teach the majority of our clients to do is have an ascension offer, or we call it a paid proposal offer, where what we're doing is we're saying, hey, let's have the meet, and then let's give an offer, something that is going to do a few things. It's going to solve a front end, like a top of mind problem, like something, just what's that one thing that they really need solved right now, that they would just love to have this problem go away for them. What is that? And what is this thing that's going to help them get results quickly? Because if we can get them results quickly, they're more likely to say yes, because it's not some faraway thing. They're like, yeah, I can say yes now, and I'm going to get a result pretty soon. That sounds good. And then third is making it accessible money-wise. So making it a lower investment, something maybe between $500 to $1,000. And so we have this offer that's doing those three things, so that it's really easy to say yes to. But then also part of this offer needs to be to create a game plan of what the next 3, 6, or 12 months looks like for the client. So what we've done here is we've given them a super valuable offer, and we've laid out what they should be doing for the next 3 to 12 months. And then what's the natural next step? Well, hey, would you like some help implementing this game plan? Yeah? All right, great. It'll just be 10K. So they've already had a chance to work with you. They've already bought from you. Now they trust you way more. You've delivered them a great result. And so just by doing it in this way, we've seen 40% increases in upsells. So clients are making a lot more money from this, because it's, exponential. The difference between zero and, you can make a lot of these sales on the front end too. You can be making lots of these $1,000 sales, and about maybe half are going to actually, upsell later. But it's a great way to make some more.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I really, really appreciate, Ryan, that you're giving listeners something tangible. And of course, if our listeners, they would like to connect with you further, what should be the easiest way?
Mm. My LinkedIn, for sure. My LinkedIn profile, I've got videos, content. Yeah, and I'm on there almost all day, so it's the best place.
Super, super. I'll make sure to have the details in there for our listeners in the show notes. And Ryan, this was really, really a very, very practical discussion. And I think so much of what we have talked about today comes back to this, like tactics without strategy are noise, but the right message can change everything. So it's not about chasing every new trend out there, it's about building a foundation that makes your business the clear, trusted choice out there. So thank you so much, Ryan. This was really, really much needed.
Thank you, Sada. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, thank you to all the listeners out there for tuning into this episode of the BizBlend podcast. I would say, please remember that your message is more powerful than your budget. So, build it right, and the world will hear you. Thank you.